on the box. Just
Thank you.
they could try and make sure that the box that says on air can light up. That would make everyone happier. Otherwise, hey, there we go. It's on. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Well, thank you, Chairperson Haas. What we want to do is give you an update regarding the large commitment that you had for the purchase of our AssetWorks software. And again, appreciate that. We're doing some good things, and we just want to communicate some of the accomplishments that we had, and I guess some of the struggles and problems. So I'll just kind of give you an update on that. This presentation was the same presentation that we sent last week, so if you have any questions, let us know. But if you remember, in July 2018, that's when we purchased the AssetWorks software. Again, a large commitment. As recently as September 2019, we're able to implement and go live in 3 divisions. That would be the water division, electrical division, as well as the fleet division. Some of the accomplishments that we listed there in the presentation was the ability to integrate with the current software that we had with the city. The major software was our HCE, our financial system, in which we could gather the information regarding the accounts that we have, as far as the listed the type of vendors, employee information, so on and so forth. We were able to work out with the software with our fuel, our PetroVent software, as well as adding a lot of assets to our existing GIS data. And that was our, I guess, the largest area software through our GIS system, and a credit to the IT department, Pat Walker and Peter Fatnell, for creating that. So a lot depends on what this AssetWorks software is to list a variety of assets throughout the city. Some of those assets we already have in inventory. Some are not completed because it is newer. Electronically, do we have all our assets, i.e. trees and street lighting, street repairs, catch basins, sanitary sewers, so on and so forth? Is that all on an electronic database? Some are not, so therefore we have to have team members supply that information either at the current time or at a future date. Some of the process improvements, I won't get into too much detail, but we will be looking at a video that Tony and his staff and Public Works staff created for you to review. But there is, I guess, a major function where we are eliminating the paper time cards to keep track of employees' time, as well as the accounts in which that time is to be charged, but also what accounts and what divisions that time needs to be charged out to. We're looking at the ability to look at work history, but also as a reference for future years to create that database so we can make and analyze for future decisions down the road. So again, we're starting pretty fresh, 2019 August, for those 3 divisions, and we're going on to implement in other divisions here in the near future. User training was another accomplishment that we had working with IT. We had an opportunity to train all personnel at the Department of Public Works to use desktop computers and progressing to iPads, as well as using the AssetWorks software as their divisions were being implemented for this software. Some of the challenges that we've had is team size, staff. I know Tony committed a lot of his staff, a project manager, to coordinate this effort, as well as the Department of Public Works. We had 2 individuals that were doing their own jobs, but also partaking in the implementation, a lot of work and time dedication for this, for data cleanup. I do want to introduce 2 individuals that are here tonight and give them congrats for their time and effort. Without them, this project wouldn't be as far as it is, and especially with the help with IT staff as well. And that would be Andy Hetzer and Karen Rittenhouse. So again, thanking them for the data cleanup, which is another challenge. We do have information, as I presented before, but some of that information was not in the format that should be transferred into the AssetWorks software. So there needs to be added information or cleaned up information, make it more accurate as well. So what's coming in the near future is building and sign division will be our next division that will go live with AssetWorks. Before we go live, we have to create that AssetWorks inventory with signs, regulatory signs, warning signs, for example. We have to go through facilities, list those facilities, but look at the assets within the facilities, which we will charge a service order to or a work order to. So therefore, we have a historical data in the future to analyze and again, hopefully make decisions based on that and make preventative maintenance in the near future. Forestry will be thereafter. Again, they have a lot of data that's already existing in Tony's GIS system. So we got to look at that, make sure it's accurate, but also in that format, but also expanding that into the AssetWorks software system. So it's just not a click of a switch, I'm told. It's more work than that, and again, it's a time-consuming task. Streets and sanitation and inventory will also be the final divisions that will partake in this conversion or implementation with the software. GIS members of AssetWorks is going to be teaming up with Tony's staff as well as Karen and Andy here tomorrow, and they'll be here for approximately 2 days to help with that conversion and work with the GIS staff that Tony has. So with that, do you have any questions?
Chairman,
Alderman Chableski.
how much does this cost us?
I think
So it was a 5-year commitment for
560,000.
560,000.
5 years.
A big chunk of that was the software purchase, but it's also being hosted by them off-site. So that saves us from having to buy servers and hardware and stuff here. So we're actually paying an annual fee for them to host the solution for us as well. But the flip side is that means we have less stuff in our data center supporting this product. That was a 5-year commitment.
And this is supposed to save us money, obviously, in the long run?
correct, and collect information, data. Currently, right now, what we're doing is going to the file cabinet in some cases. And if we have a vehicle or a truck, we go and we either look at the repair orders. Now we can, a push of a button, we have that capability. Subrogation, for example, for electrical knockdowns or any type of damage, to subrogate claims, to collect the labor, the equipment use, and the materials that were used to correct that situation is, documented manually. With this, you can have a work order that's for that event and get those numbers sooner than what's done before.
Do you have any idea how much this is going to save?
For each specific incident, no. We had, I think previously in 2018, we had approximate costs of savings. I can get that to you.
Yeah, we did a cost-benefit analysis. I don't remember what the payback period was on it, but we did look at the savings end of this.
And with
Just
this,
email it to me, okay?
yeah, and with this, we did have positions that were reduced for the use and anticipating to make it, I guess, more convenient for holding data and transferring and inputting. And,
sure.
But
So, Mr. Chair, we do have a video, so to speak to the benefits, I don't have the numbers or the number of FTEs, but we do have a video we put together that we thought if you heard from the folks that are using the software day in and day out about their experience, that might resonate with you, so.
Just wanted to say that communications also collaborated on the video
Yes.
along with IT and Public Works.
Works is we are able to navigate and find repair history in it for service reports that another employee would type in there, and then we could go into that report, and if we have a problem machine, look that up. With the old system, we never had any of that record. We never had a report, a service report from a tech to go back and look at, and the ease of being able to look it up just at our workstation is a time saver too. We don't have to go back and ask different people about what happened or hunt down a service tech to see if he did or did not work on the truck.
Well, a couple benefits I've seen working with AssetWorks so far is it logs all your history and you don't have to go back in the paper files anymore. You can go right on the computer, and it's a lot faster. I can send my work orders out to my workers right on the job instead of calling them on a cell phone or making them come into the shop and get their work orders.
Asset work saves me a lot of drive time, lots of call time. I kind of see what I have in front of me instead of having to come back and forth to work to see what was available. If I need to look up where I'm at as far as like hydrants that need to be flushed or valves that need to be turned, I can do it from a map now in front of me instead of having a piece of paper or anything else. And I can see what's been marked off from other people also.
The benefit of having Asset Works in the field or in the shop is if we get called out or aware of the situation that a pole's been knocked down in the field, I can actually go through Asset Works with asset management, find out the attributes of that pole. For example, what kind of lighting it has, what kind of cover it might have, if it's a single arm, double arm, the pole height as well, and if it's high voltage or low voltage. I can go through all that right on Asset Works Management, find out exactly what I need, either pick it up here in an inventory or out at the dump if we have extra stuff, bring it out to the job site, fix and repair, come back.
As far as managing work orders, we don't have to have multiple work orders, where in the past, write-ups would come in and a work order be created, and then say a day or two later, someone would come in with the same complaint and a second work order be generated. We can go into the system and we can see that one was already created, not have to create a duplicate work order.
I've noticed that it is much easier to get a cost of what things are. For example, a couple of years back, I tried to figure out how much main brakes cost. And it took quite a few weeks to tabulate all of just the labor costs. I had to look through several days of timesheets to calculate how much time multiple technicians spent on one particular job. And I was able to, I spent about 3 weeks calculating 3 years worth of main brakes to determine what they cost. Now today, utilizing Asset Works, I run a report and it tells me how much they cost, and I can send that report to my email on a regular basis. So it's real easy to get down to the actual costs of the work.
Working with Asset Works is nice when it comes to large circuits where we have well over 100 light poles and we're changing lights, so we're getting a lot done in a day, up to 150. You're able to create one master work order, and then you can batch it all together. So it lists every pole, you can add your time, you can add the parts, you can add the vehicle, but you only have to do it one time, and it automatically splits the time and the parts up between all of the other poles. So instead of going in and making 150 individual work orders, you make one, and it handles the entire thing.
One of the benefits I've used for Asset Works is we no longer have to fill out paper time cards. It's a little more efficient at the end of the day.
We used to use paper time cards. Our technicians would fill out a daily time card, which described what they did in somewhat detail each day. Now they fill out time cards in Asset Works, which is extremely detailed. It tells me what they did and how much their costs are for every individual job, which ties back to each asset, each hydrant, each main, each water valve, and other assets that we have loaded in the system.
Also, as far as scheduling, maybe a job's waiting on parts. In the past, you know, that work order would go to them. Parts might come in, but I wouldn't know that the parts came in. Now through Asset Works, I can see that right on my screen and not have to try to track down work that was, you know, outstanding in the past.
One of the benefits I found with Asset Works is we've taken the stuff that we have known, but now it's actually getting documented on a sheet where we can take that information and pass it on to others. Used to be we put that on our time card, we just go work on streetlight maintenance, we work on grounds. We never recorded which circuits specifically. But now we're doing that, we can see that we're getting 40 hours of work on one circuit and still haven't been able to fix it. Before we didn't have that information, how many hours were on one ground. Now we can.
One of the best benefits of Asset Works is that it's one central location for us to manage our assets and track our work orders and job costing. Prior to Asset Works, every division kind of had their own way of doing things. Sometimes spreadsheets, sometimes paper, multiple databases. We're able to unify everybody in one central location for all of our data entry and job costing. And it's letting us build a foundation of information that we can use in the future to make data-driven decisions and really jump into the next century with updated technology.
Excellent.
Like Rebecca said, special thanks to our communications department, because I'm not an AV guy. They did a great job with the video. We're going to be posting that on our public site at some point, and internally as well.
We got 2 stars here in the audience, too.
Yes, we do.
That's all we had.
Mr. Chair?
Okay.
I guess I would have a question, or maybe I'll let you figure it out. All these programs we've been buying are saving time. Everybody's saving time. Where does that time go? Like if some guy's doing 100 widgets a week and we have this new program, does he do 110, 120? Or does he just take that time savings and just kick back on Fridays?
No, you do the next work order, the service requests. So if you're doing relamping, for example, so usually in the fall, winter of the year, as mentioned there, you have different styles, types of
Right, yeah, I saw that,
street lighting.
yeah.
One of the, I guess, reductions that we're trying to do is consolidate the number of streetlights and the type of bulbs that we have with the poles. So now these people can go, and at the day before, the employees can find out what bulbs is required for that, and they can have a more efficient, where they can order. The lead time may be such where, maybe it's 2 weeks to 4 months or what have you, but it's just you're having more information
So
available
this helps
in
on
the
the
hands.
inventory side too. a lot.
Inventory as well, yep. So for any type of mechanics, you, instead of going to, let's say, the documentation or asking another coworker, hey, did you work at this with this type of vehicle, you're going to have that information in the software for that vehicle, the type of oil, the type of battery, the type of parts that is unique with that individual vehicle. But also you're going to have the select vendor that was used previously. So they will have that vendor and that name where they can go and see what the part was, expense, and they can go ahead and have contact information immediately at their hands.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Grill.
And not specifically to Asset Works, but talking about our different programs in general, we've been doing a lot of, through attrition when someone retires, if we've improved the efficiencies through some type of software, we look at reallocating that position or not filling that position. So that's where a lot of the savings will come, but we've had some successes so far with different systems too. So, not specific.
Right, well-
But there are a few
Yes, we
in
have
Public Works.
positions that
I
were
just was
reduced
writing some
because of the
down,
software,
like
correct.
2 of them that I know off the top of my head, so.
All right, great. Anything for Alderman Lysick?
I assume that this program will have reporting capabilities so that you can signal assets that are problem assets that you want to replace sooner, or a particular brand that maybe isn't working as good as another brand.
I'd say for the first time, you'll have that capability.
Good.
Because before we didn't collect that data, or stored it in a file cabinet, no one ever looked at it.
Additionally, there'd be a focus on preventative maintenance. We've done a lot of reactivity, but this is gonna be able to help us switch it around to doing that maintenance ahead of time.
All right, great. Great, thanks, everybody. Yeah, anything further on this? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then moving on to item 3, Director of Information Technology update on restructuring the Information Technology Department. Tony, you don't get told.
I know. I needed my material, though. I was going to do a presentation as well on the screen, but I'll just go low tech and give you guys the paper copies. And I have some extra for the audience.
Email to us?
Yeah, this is the same
Right, yeah,
thing that was sent to you on Friday. Thanks, Rebecca. So again, Tony Warkacheski, Director of IT. Thanks for your time and attention today. Normally what I do for this council is I send out the material ahead of time and I ask you to review it, and I just kind of open it up for discussion in the meeting. Today I'm going to ask that you give me about 10 minutes to kind of work through this deck. I'm not going to talk about every bullet. I'm just going to...
The clock's working.
Mickey's putting me on the clock ready. There's a backstory here to this slide that I just want to be able to tell you a little bit more about some of the points I'm making throughout the deck, and then we'll open it up for questions. So It's a little over 2 years ago that you entrusted me to be the director of the IT department for the city of West Allis. It's been quite a wild ride. I've learned a lot, and I'm very proud of some of the things I think myself and my team have accomplished over the last 2 years. Asset Works is probably near the top of the list, even though the project's taken a little bit longer than maybe I would have liked. You can see from the video it's starting to produce some real value. I'm also proud of the fact that most of the feedback I get internally is that IT has become a kinder, gentler type of an organization to work with. We're a little bit more empathetic to our customers. We've been getting some good feedback on some of the lower level transactional work that we're actually more responsive than we had been in the past. So there's some things I think we're doing in the department that are going in the right direction. But make no mistake, we've got some improvements to make. I've personally made some decisions probably in the last 2 years that weren't the best and put a couple things in motion that need to be corrected. And that's really why I'm here today, is to get your support on restructuring my department so that we can improve the department going forward. So the first slide, which has a table report kind of to the right of it with the title "Why Change?" So that report is those are the results of a Q12 Gallup survey that was done in IT. That we got the results, I think, was it last summer, Rebecca? Mm-hmm. It was the second year we had done this Gallup survey to measure employee engagement, but it was the first time that the report was really done with me as the head of IT. I knew going into that survey that my scores were going to be low, but I never in my wildest dreams thought that they would be this low. To be in the 1 percentile on over half of the questions, and having employees through the survey tell us that they don't know what's expected of them, they don't get recognized, no one's talking to them about their development plans. If nothing else, this is reason for change. This was not completely unexpected, but is very, in my mind, serious and needs to change to improve these scores so that the members of my department are feeling more engaged about their work. A couple other reasons I think that we got to change the structure. I still get feedback that some things take a little bit longer than we should. There's lack of clarity on how we set priorities within the department. And then finally, we've got some issues we still need to address with succession planning. I've got a few talented individuals in my department who we've got to get some knowledge out of so that we can sustain what we do for the city going forward. Next slide, how did we get here? The picture on the right is the organizational structure that I put in place 2 years ago, and you could just put a big red X through it because it ain't working. I'll explain the intent and I'll explain the unintended consequence. So the intent was you have me at the top of the organization. Then you've got 4 members of my department acting as leaders in a leadership role. John Kuzma as a supervisor of digital services, Pat Walker with usability and GIS, a fellow by the name of Joe Claseri as a project manager, and Jack Coffey as a supervisor. So that's my leadership team. Again, a combination of supervisors and a project manager. And then below those 4, you have this, what I call pool of resources, which is everybody else in my department. The idea was, as work priorities changed within these 4 areas, these resources could flex and go to where the most urgent needs were. And the result was that didn't work so well because the individuals in this box have very important and very valuable, but very specific skills, which makes it hard for them to flex from one team to the other. So I can't take a guy who's really good at GIS, and just because we need to run an email upgrade program called Office 365, I just really can't move him to that team and be productive. So the flexibility concept really didn't work in reality. And the unintended consequence was the folks that worked in this pool of resources, well, they looked up and they saw 4 different bosses giving them different direction and orders every day. And it just created a lot of confusion. So we need to fix this. That was a mistake on my part. So if we're going to restructure ourselves, the next slide is just kind of some lofty goals that we want to achieve. The next slide shows some pictures that represent some of the research we did on how other IT organizations structure themselves. We looked at tall organizations, flat organizations. We looked at ones that were centered around customer experience. We looked at some that were more focused on lean and continuous improvement. But the one that we really started to get excited about is this one called product orientation. And all that really means is you got to take a really hard look at your department or your organization, really understand what products and services you offer your customers, and organize your people around that. Okay, I'm going to skip the next slide. So now I'm on this one that lists, as documented in our business plan, IT offers 6 primary products to the city of West Allis. So this isn't new from Tony. Long before I came to the city, these are the 6 main buckets of services that IT offers our city. End user support, we have a help desk. Infrastructure management, that's making sure we have a data network and storage and servers that are protected and working as they should. GIS, you guys have all seen the maps. You've seen some of the things we do on our website with data and mapping. We train our people on all the technology and applications they use. We have a separate organization dedicated to police and fire. And then finally, we've got a group that helps departments implement new applications and support their data needs. So we're going to organize ourselves around those 6 products. And so really the crescendo of my slide deck is the next slide, which is really what the new organizational structure will look like. You'll see it's pretty flat. I become the owner of, so the products I just mentioned are in these orangish boxes. You still see me as the top of the organization as a director. I'm going to hold myself accountable for owning the product of technical training, because I can do that. I've got enough background and experience that I can put together technical training plans for the city. Towards the bottom, you see the other products. So on the left, you have application support and data. The team that's primarily associated with that is Marion and Mike. GIS is Pete and Pat. End user support and infrastructure management, those 2 products kind of overlap themselves a little bit. So this is an area where my resources do flex between these 2 products, if you would. And then over on the right, you've got that hybrid organization with Jack Coffey and Tim Jensen. So I am the supervisor for everyone in my department, with the exception of Tim Jensen. The reason we're not messing with Jack and Tim is because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think we built a pretty good structure here that Mason and Pat would agree we're doing a pretty good job, at least better than we were, of supporting police and fire. And so Jack is going to remain a supervisor with Tim underneath him as his understudy. Everybody else in the department reports directly to me. That way I can assure people know what's expected of them, that they have goals, that the goals are being reviewed frequently, that at the end of the year they get a good performance appraisal, and that I handle all the compensation issues. I become the supervisor for everyone in the department. So now where I need help is prioritizing the work that happens across all of these teams and all these individuals. And that's where I'm going to delegate down as far as I can the decision-making authority of how the work gets prioritized. And so there's a new role, and again, Tony didn't just invent this. This is part of that product orientation. Each product is going to have somebody on the team that gets the title of a product owner. I shouldn't say title. It's really the duties associated with owning a product. That person is really responsible for prioritizing how they want to make their product better and the work that they and their other teammates are doing day in and day out to make the product viable and better. So for the app and data space, that's Marion. For the GIS space, that's going to be Pete Fantel. For infrastructure and user support, that's going to be Joe DeRica, with maybe a little bit of help from John Kuzma. And for public safety, that's going to remain as Jack. So in the end, what this is really all about is some of my best technicians that I need to be training others and teaching others what they know, who maybe haven't had a chance to do as much of that because they were doing supervisory work. I'm going to take over that supervisory work for them so that they now have some of the capacity to do some of the more technical work and coach and mentor some of the less experienced people in the department. It also gives some of the more or less experienced people in my department the opportunity through this product owner role to kind of step into a little bit of a leadership role so they gain some experience on their career journey working for the city. Really, that's about it. This will result ultimately in some job description changes in going to Carlson, somebody that and alternating what people have in their job description or JDQs. That would really be my next step here, if this council agrees that this is a path worthy of trying to go down as we try to improve the structure of my department. That was a lot. Questions?
I think this looks good to me.
I think he's choked up.
Something you need from us?
No, just support, and to know that this is the next iteration of just trying to improve what you've asked me to improve upon when you hired me 2 years ago. I feel like I've got enough experience under my belt now that this is the right direction to take the department. It is going to result in some job changes and duties and those kinds of things, and ultimately I don't think there's much of a financial impact. I should have mentioned, I'm sorry, I went too fast. We did eliminate one position from the department kind of as a result of this. The new organizational structure, we realized we didn't really have the need for a dedicated project manager. So we hired one of those shortly after I started here. That person was helping out with the Asset Works project, because Asset Works is, I don't want to say it's nearing its end, because as Dave articulated, we still got some more divisions to roll into that. But going forward, in conversations with Rebecca and myself, we just didn't really feel like IT needed a dedicated project manager anymore in our structure going forward. So that position's been eliminated.
Was that person eliminated, or?
Yeah, we reached a separation agreement with them back in early December.
Yeah, this looks good. You really have a good handle on your organization, Tony. Looks great.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else from any other alderman? Yeah, thank you, Tony. All right, and then we're moving along on our agenda here. Item 4 is a discussion regarding contract negotiations with the West Allis firefighters, Local 342, which was previously Local 1004. And for the above agenda item, the committee may convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin statutes, section 19.851E, to deliberate or negotiate the investment of public funds or conduct other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The committee may convene in open session at the completion of the closed session in order to consider the balance of the agenda. Can I have a motion to go into a closed session?
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
And Alderman Rote.
Aye.
And Alderman Chapletsky.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, we're in closed session.